Well, it's still going on outside. It's getting a little better, but they're still at it. They're pesky boogers. Um, and the cat's out of the bag. That's where it's rich. I mean, the Canton police already are, like I said, are looking for whoever kicked in my door in the first 6 days, was stalking me, photoshopping, I guess, shower scenes in the other room and where I had bruises, date rape, drugging me. And they already ratted out Dave was getting sick on his drinks, that he was roofing me where I thought he was poisoning me. None of this is funny. They're already looking for them. Um, then I found out, I told you that at Macy's last week, some lady walked in and said, they told everybody you had charges and we're supposed to follow you around saying stuff to you. And we found out there's nothing. It's like you're slow, right? I work home health care. With working home health care, you have to pass an FBI background check. You have to be squeaky clean because you're working with the disabled. And with January 1922 Department of Disability, where I was in there with my client, and they tape an audio through the whole place. And they have Canton Police security upstairs. They told them I was drugged and told to say something before. And that's why Canton's been all over this. I mean, they've talked at the Oakland apartment, the guy at the Hunger Task Force, December 9, 21. And then at the Oakland Apartments, and then they've been around for the guy at Burlington Coat Factory for a while, and they admitted a frame in me. They admitted it was a shower scene in the other room, May 12, 22 at Bubba's Restaurant, and May 26, 22 at KFC at noon in Belden, that the shower scene was done on purpose. None of this is funny. I had bruises I couldn't explain, and I told you, I figured when I was so dizzy I couldn't mow the lawn within the first 2 weeks, and I was already having bruises. They were probably already drugging me. Date rape drugs aren't funny. You don't remember anything. That's how they roofie women in the bar and take them out and rape them, and when they wear off, they don't know what happened to them. My neighbor Mike got roofied in a bar. I walked out of my apartment, and he came up to me last year and he's like, I got a problem. I said, what's that? He said, oh no, I got home. I'm like, go sleep it off. He's like, you don't understand. I've been sitting there for hours and I can't figure out how I got out of the bar. And I said, well, what do you remember? The second beer. He's a big guy. And I'm like, oh my God. And he's like, I got a worse problem. I got $80 in my pocket. I'm like, check your bank. And he took 100 out. He's like, what was in the box with mustard? And how did I change my shoes? And I'm like, oh my God, they roofied him. I'm like, just go sleep it off. Well, he went back to that bar 5 months later. They let him watch the surveillance. And he said that during the second beer, he started talking crazy and told everybody he was an astronaut and all kinds of crazy stuff. And he drove around high all night. Took himself to the bank, took himself out to eat, came home, changed his shoes, and when it wore off, he didn't know how he got out of the bar. That's how they date rape drug women. And they get them out and rape them, and then they put them somewhere, and they don't even know how they got out of the restaurant. You're sleepwalking. I talked to family physicians, one of the nurses. She said there's a whole list of those amnesia drugs. You're sleepwalking. I've never been questioned of wrongdoing. I've never been prosecuted. I've never been found guilty. The main officer that was over the Protect a Life case that corrupt agent started um, told North Canton Jackson Police June of 19 on Hills and Dales Road, the worst thing you ever did wrong, honey, is bend over and probably we can wipe that one out. Well, that was one of Melissa's mean games of pretend where it's, ooh, grandma, what's on the back of your legs? Varicose veins, hair, whole papa, well, I get changed. I was video chatting. He only made fun of the back of they only made fun of the back of my knees. That's why he's laughing. And during the case, they were making up the wrong nightgown and saying they seen my tushy years ago. And I'm like, what? And I went home to my legally bucked house at the time and went, Dave, I said I always wore the grandma nightgown underwear in the house coat when the grandkids are over. I know that. I said leggings, sweater, or a house coat when the grandkids were over before. I know that. I said besides a grandma nightgown and some laces I kept, I just replaced everything last year. He's like, I know that. You know, I was getting sick on Dave's drinks and I thought he was poisoning me. And here he was roofing me too. And then people were breaking in, stabbing me with needles in my sleep. Um, and lying they had sodium pentothal reports. It's not funny. I've never talked to anybody, and then they were laughing in the neighborhood. They used ecstasy on me, date rape drugs, and told me to say crazy stuff. And everybody knows the Canton police are looking for them because they've been around for all these things being said to me, and they're looking for who actually did it. It's not funny. Retired Judge Pete and his fucked up friends helping that occult get away with attempted murder and possibly murder up there and extortion and racketeering, and then come down here and terrorize and lie on me and slander me. I was telling one of my coworkers, you know, I had told her, I said they have people show up and tell people that I'm ugly. And she said, tell them to shut up or something like that. I said, I ignore and walk away. We were talking. I said, you know, I found out the other day they were telling people I had charges. She started laughing. She said, you have to pass an FBI background check to work here. And I said, I know that. I said, I have my CCW and my notary. I just passed the BCI background check about a month and a half, 2 months ago. I said, I have nothing. I have one traffic ticket from 89. None of this is funny. They just run around slandering me for drugging me up and telling me say something stupid and for photoshopping that shower scene. It's not admissible, so all they do is do their little hate crime dance of spreading it to lowlights that think it's funny to participate in this. It's not. And their tapes are so altered that, and they even they corrupted that agent. And when they corrupted him, I realized when he was so mean to me that he was corrupt. And my one friend works for the prosecutor's office. He said nothing that agent said was legal. Because I tried to tell him where, you know, after David held me down, that he hired a man to slit my throat, stab me in the heart, or shoot me if I ran. That, you know, the phone call of the church is taking up $25,000. Them leaving three malls and threats in the mall with 3 different people that they were going to have me murdered. The 4 attempts on my life, the fallen rounding, the attempt to break in, him making a mistake with the Perry police, and the fallen rounding linked back to that church. Then the attempt at kidnapping, and then the attempt at carjacking. While realizing it was all them. And how stupid was I thinking he was just cheating. Um, that, you know, when I called that agent, you know, he had called that one guy because he called me, where are you at? I'm buying something for dinner. I got a phone call to make. And then he hung up and he wouldn't answer his phone. And then I got my groceries and I figured I'd have to move out soon. So I seen they were giving flu shots and I thought I can't afford to get sick. So I went ahead and got a flu shot. I got dizzy for a second, sat down on the bench, and I can't believe she's here. And he comes up and I got to walk off real quick because I realize it's that I got her hood up over his head. Chased me all across the parking lot. The guy that tried to kidnap me and tried to carjack me comes up behind me. I'd stab you right here and now if it wasn't for that security guard. And I make a beeline right for the bank, open account, and the crazy older blonde Pizza Hut waitress in Ravenna. I get paid to watch her. And the banker's yelling at her, lady, stay out of it. And the guy that tried to kidnap me, tried to carjack me, just threatened to knife me, walks off around me, and she walks off too. So either Dave called him, Dave called someone to call him. Worst scenario, he used the company phone, or the Pizza Hut lady called him for him to show up. I tried to tell that agent that, and he said, you liar. Now, I got a banker screaming at the lady. It's right by the ATM. There's Huntington Bank surveillance and Giant Eagles and people around me. It was a chaos scene. And he's like, you liar, you confess you're lying, or I'll arrest you. I'm like, what? And I was already crying because I was scared for my life, realizing those attempts was them. You either say you're lying or I'll arrest you. It's like, fine, whatever. You can't. That is obstruction to justice, tampering with evidence, and badgering a witness. It's totally illegal. And then, do you know if he has a girlfriend? Well, I really don't know. And then some guys rambling, it stopped. She doesn't know. He knew everything. Well, this you informant gives me all these big promises. But if you tell someone, I'll tell everyone you're crazy and no one can help you. He can't do that. I talked to my one friend that worked for the prosecutor's office. They can't list you crazy for telling someone, and they can't tell someone no one can help you. That's ridiculous. He said after what that agent did, there's no excuse that no one's helped you because nothing he said was legal. The only thing legal he did was make me an informant. He knew everything. He knew it was Dave's girlfriend's family doing it and friends and as a call. He also knew that they already knew, and he was just thinking he could do a fast setup like August 10th, 11th, 22, Walmart 62 by the hair salon. They start following me. They tape an audio throughout Walmart, and they're breaking how they called Will and explained Michelle, and he set me up. You can't use setups, and you can't use anything that somebody said that was illegal and was bullying a victim and a witness. My one friend that works at we used to work at the prosecutor's office. He said it's called a backdoor deal. They go in, basically slip through a back door, make arrangements with somebody, take a payoff or a deal to let somebody be victimized or killed. It's not funny. And it's not funny. No one's helped me, and it's not funny. All these bad things happen, and nobody had enough integrity to do their jobs. I talked to a couple retired sheriffs, and they're like, we know there's a judge's family involved, but people need to start doing their damn jobs. There was a retired judge in Florida that was human trafficking people last year, and he ended up in jail. 5 judges framed him, raped 41 lives before they were stopped, and they got 6 to 20 years. Just even the legal search and seizure. Now, I went up to the Portage County Sheriff's and I confronted them in a taped audio room. Miss Hall, we know nothing of what these people are saying. These people, what they're saying is illegal. Not one of our officers was in your home before a protected lie case. And I said, with the statements, yes. I said, it's a Fourth Amendment. Police and agencies can only be in a home under a threat of life. And they have to speak to everyone before they start, or you can't look or listen. It's a legal search and seizure. Yes. So why are they running around with something that nobody can look at and nobody can even do anything but arrest them? Because if any officer is involved, it's 5 years at the minimum. Then you put the drugs to be attempted murder, attempted extortion under it. There's life in federal, and then 1 to 10 for conflict of interest and 1 to 10 for every constitutional right broke. They have life in federal for even saying they were in my home before. And that's why the Canton Police in Massillon are looking for him. Canton is looking for him because they already know, like out on my one client that lives out on Turkey Street, the split level, June 7th, they already told them we already know the tapes before with them and not her. And we're looking for who actually did it. They said, even I guess the teenage kids were talking about it, that they said that lady officers told them that they knew that agent was corrupt, and he just didn't want to help me. That's why he was so mean to me, and he knew everything. Yeah, you can't use something but that someone's breaking laws and federal laws, and they bullied a victim and a witness and some legal statements. I mean, you got to think, if you go to an officer and say, my God, somebody threatened to knife me and Giant Eagle, and I went to open an account, I got away from him real quick, and some lady's getting paid to stalk me, the maker's yelling out, they'll be like, honey, we'll get the surveillance, I'm glad you're okay, da. That's the way it's supposed to go. And that's the only legal way it can go. You can't tamper with evidence, you can't badger a victim and a witness, and you can't threaten them. And you can't threaten them that you'll list them crazy or no one can help them if they tell. That's not legal either. That's badgering a victim and a witness and obstruction to justice, and it's not legal because anybody can help a victim and a witness. And what that agent did was highly illegal and life in prison once the Department of Justice actually pulls that tape, because it goes into that, because they correct everything. Still trying to find someone to help me. It was funny, the other night I was out on Turquoise Street, and those people, you could hear them 2 streets over because they're too big of cowards to come say something in my face. So they scream stuff and scream for the neighborhood to hear. Okay? Some ladies out there, you bastards, you stay away from Karen, you hear me? I already know what you did, you bastards, you stay away from it. And when the neighbors are like, oh my goodness, some lady's yelling at him and said, you bastards, go now, and was screaming at him. I'm like, go lady. About time. Thank you. Go lady. More people ought to be screaming at these people. We live in the United States of America. People can't break in your door, stalk you, Photoshop you, and drug you up until you say something stupid. And they already ratted out Dave, 8/9/21, first thing in the morning, apartment building for me, second closest to the fence, that he was drugging me up and telling me to say something stupid. That's why he's throwing up his drinks. And where he defends me later during the police investigation, I taped him along with the police. All my tapes come from that protected life case, because to cover his ass, that agent listed me informant, put me in police protected custody, and then had an officer talk to Dave about the threats on my life. That's the requirement of justice. September 27th, 18. Karen around the house. State case was graded, or Karen's will. That's what officers in uniform call it, and police work at Massillon Police work at, some of the Stark County Sheriff, some of the Canton Police, Minerva Undercover Police, and the Portage County Undercover Police. So, I mean, there's quite a few police departments. They all know I'm innocent. They know my ex-daughter-in-law was friends with the girlfriend of my ex-husband, and had the kids make up mean games to pretend in an illegally bugged house, got caught stating they made everything up and they were games to pretend, and they wanted the house for Auntie Shell and Papa. That was another thing the other night when I pulled in. Some ladies like, we asked Melissa why she had all those kids make up everything, and they said, oh, we were trying to help them get the house. We told her no matter what, she shouldn't have involved herself. Neither should any of these people. My whole family spoke highly of me. They even mentioned it in front of my other client, that my family spoke very highly of me before. They told people in Walmart, that they found all the kids lying in 2018. They screamed it at one point. These people are so advanced, they hacked into the police login and sold it by Christmas 18. So all this is public knowledge. It's horrible that people have seen the heinous crimes done to me for personal entertainment. There's disgusting, vile criminals degrading me to be less than human, to make a public display of how much they could hurt me, and then have people laugh at me. Someone needs to arrest them. They're very dangerous people. I was found innocent of everything in 18. Like I said, my family spoke very highly of me. And I'm sure it would bring my boys to tears if they actually seen what those monsters did to me, and then I went through it to save their life. So they go after me instead of them. And listen to their father threaten Dixie and the baby's life on tape, and then the rest of them that he'd kill them all. And then I lived through all that trying to keep them out. You can't ask much more than someone to lay their life down. That's where other men have got the login, and I'm handling it better than I used to. People would come up to me, so and so wants to meet you. They found out what you lived through, and they want to meet you. And it used to make me nauseous, and I used to run for the bathroom, and I'd be doubled up, or I'd throw up, one of the two. And February 25th, 22, when you know how you see your neighbors, but you don't know them, and they pull in and out of their driveway about 3 or 4 houses down from 4490 John Thomas up in Ravenna. One of my old neighbors drives a silver car, a white man with gray hair. He had followed me around. He came down and he went to McDonald's on Whipple and Hillston, Dales Road, February 25th, 22. He's like, I'm tired of this. And he's rambling. And I look over at him and he said, our ex-husband showed up at the store in Ravenna, told everyone he didn't want her anymore, and asked all those people to help get rid of her. All those people agreed to help kill me. Instead of calling 911, they agreed. And that's why my door was broken in 6 days. Within the 3 more days later. And then that's the stalking and the date rape drugging and all this other stuff, and editing tapes illegally, stalking me. Then he said some guy found out what she lived through and wanted to meet her, and I told him to go ahead. And he gets up from the table, and this guy comes up and says hi, and Vito was like, hi. I was in Mercy Medical this last year, and some guys walk around, he's like, I'd love to meet her. I heard they sold her for money. I would love to know what it's like. I got away from it. The word's devastating. You want to know what that's like? It's called devastating. They took money to know where I was, and they call somebody to stalk me or try to shoot me. And if there wouldn't have been undercover police detectives and security around me and chasing them off, I could have died. And it's not funny. None of this is. I mean, I was almost shot in the head driving. I had to hide on this shooting night and did not get killed, and I faced 6 stalkers. And none of this is funny. And then when I tried to help some lady, one of their officers was very corrupt and helped beat, rape, and torture me, and then warned me to stay quiet. My church screamed at him because they sold a login to my church. And you know what's something? My ex-husband almost punched me in my face for going to Faith Family Church. And my church helped save my life. Where he's like, you think you can go to that non-denominational church, Karen, do you? You'll find somebody old and ugly, but you'll turn into a pillar of salt like Lot's wife. He said, but you'll be happy. He's like, what do you have to say for yourself? I'm like, out of that whole crazy statement, the only thing I heard was happy. And I haven't been happy in a long time. He clenched his fist and said, I can't do anything with you, and walked off. And I thought he was going to punch me again. But when Pastor Mike and Ron Monhofer and the other good ushers and good people in that church, when they showed up and sold him the log and said she's an informant and people were threatening her life and trying to kill her, you know what? My church did? They encased me along with some other good people. And they went shopping with me. And they filled the mall and they restaurants. And I wouldn't be alive for not the goodness and the kindness of strangers, and where these evil corrupt people hacked into the police login for the protected custody case and made money off of it. And out of the greed, God created a miracle. And it's the only reason I'm alive. Like I said, I was found innocent of everything in 18. And they told Dave March 1st to 15 to 19, 8 to 10:30 at night in a legally bugged house that it was just a real life case of how to get away with murder. They're selling terrorism online. And they think it's funny, making fun of people's victims. And it's not. It's sick on satanic levels. And how dare these people? How dare they involve themselves in helping a Jim Jones a call mixed in with a retired judge and a drug gang going after the victim?